Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt Podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. First of all, welcome to all the new Slayers who are joining this movement of slaying self-doubt. I don't care how you found me, whether it was by way of the podcast, whether you saw me on a live, if someone shared an episode with you. I'm just so glad you decided to be a part of this journey and you are joining us. And thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. You just get spreading the love and spreading the movement. Okay. If you have not subscribed to the newsletter, please make sure that you do that because you get firsthand knowledge of anything that is happening, any changes that are going on. Sometimes you get stuff that doesn't even come to the public. With that also being said, join the Slaying Self Doubt Facebook group. I am really trying to be more intentional about being in the group. I sent a message or recorded a video earlier this week just to talk about what it is that I want to be able to do with that platform and to get some information back from you all. So just go ahead if you have a Facebook group. This is where we're starting right now. It's really about building community. This is what we're trying to do. So make sure that you get connected to that. So let's go right into we got a couple of new segments. I'm trying to you'll notice some changes that are happening. So we're going right into the Slayer Nation news. Okay. So if y'all have not been connecting with me on Instagram for my Instagram lives on Thursdays, you are missing out. When I tell you that we are dropping some gems in that joint every Thursday, it is, oh my goodness. When I tell you this series it is stretching me. It is having some confirmation as well. But when I tell you, anytime that God asks me to do something, he tells me, hey, I want you to do this. I never understand the full reason why. It is not until I'm in it and I'm doing that I say, oh, yeah, I totally get why you have me having this conversation, talking about this topic, connecting with this person. And so I really am glad that I am doing it. But I really want y'all to get in on this because I really do believe that it will help you for your future, right? And I'm talking about like in 3 months, January, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I know that talking about money is uncomfortable. Trust you me, it has been uncomfortable for me. And at the same time, it has been very eye-opening and very much so needed, right? So if you are not following me on Instagram, please make sure that you go do that. Go ahead and turn the notifications on so that when I go live, you're able to see that I'm going live. You guys, I'm doing something new. I told y'all some things were changing up. God put some stuff on my heart and we're just y'all been flowing with me thus far. So just we're gonna go ahead and keep the party going, okay? But for those of you all who don't know, maybe some of you do, about 50 of y'all know, okay? We have a YouTube page, and normally the audio just goes on there, so you can listen to you can listen to the podcast via audio. I have downloaded some videos that I did from the table interview, the table women's conference back in July. I downloaded the interviews that I did there. And so those are on the YouTube page. But today, guys, I am also on the YouTube page. This episode that you're listening to, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcast, I'm also on YouTube. And so I know video is king right now, between Reels and TikTok and all the things they are, really kind of pushing this. And I know that even with the podcasting, a lot of people are doing podcasts in person. And I love them things. Don't get me wrong, right? I love being able to see what people are doing. And it's interesting to me. Like, I'm just like, how do you just take this and it just seems so easy, right? Because you're just able to do it. Let me tell you, it is not necessarily as easy as it seems, especially for me who was going through all type of self-doubt of like, what is it going to look like? Can this work? Is anybody just going to sit there and stare at me? It's one thing if you're listening to me in your ears. Another thing if you're looking at me and listening to me and it's just me. So I kind of deal with that too. But then I thought about it. My kids look at YouTubers all day long and all they do is play video games. Like it's just that person and they're watching what they're already doing. So, for me, I'm like, well, maybe it's the same. A lot of people listen. YouTube has billions, okay, not millions, billions of subscribers. And so I'm just trying to get in where I fit in. All right. So subscribe to the Slaying Self Doubt YouTube page, and that way you could see this face every week when it drops on Sunday. Yeah, Sundays. Actually, I just realized this as I'm talking to you guys. No, I have to upload it. So, okay, I'm gonna be honest. So the podcast will probably drop on Sunday, and the video will probably drop on Monday, somewhere in between there, because sis can't be. That's just too much. That is too much. So you gonna get that visual somewhere in a week's time, but the audio definitely will be Sunday. Um. You guys, I have been saying this these last couple of weeks, and I'm gonna be honest. Even before starting this series, I felt uncomfortable doing it, and being a part of this series, I've recognized that my relationship with money, asking for help, talking about it, is just very, very uncomfortable for me, and I acknowledge it. And I still have to do it anyway. So if you find value in this podcast, if you feel like you've gotten anything from it, that you feel like you just want to continue to see me, you want to continue to listen to me, you want to see this movement grow and reach more people, I am asking that if you would like to support me, to use a buy me a coffee for donations. The coffees are $5 each, and it helps to be able to grow the podcast, and to be able to do more things like this. Because even in trying to do the videos, I was trying to figure out, like, what do I need? Do I need a camera? Do I need a different type of mic? Do I need the ones, the little mics that be on your because of course most people aren't, well, what I haven't seen that many people who are using their regular podcasts and stuff. Like sometimes they are, but sometimes they just sitting there like in a little space or whatever have you. And I'm like, do they got like, cameras hanging down? I mean, not cameras, but microphones hanging down, or is it the little mic on their chest? I don't know, honey. But I'm trying to get all the things so that we can make it work. Okay. So I am asking that, if you find any value in this podcast and you want to see it grow, that you consider making a donation through Buy Me a Coffee. It would be most appreciated. Okay. What is new with me this week? I know that we have this conversation and we sitting here and we chit chat. I wanted to be able to incorporate something that gives you all information, but also, I don't know, like sometimes depending on the conversation, I go straight into the episode, but I want to be able to connect with you. So this is about us building community. So this is like completely off topic. This is me, you talking to me, Bunny, like we here, okay? So this is this segment, and I'm gonna just go right into it. Y'all, my fall shows are back. And when I tell you that my DVR be at like 72% every week, and I love it. Okay. We got all the Chicago's, we got uh all the law and orders. Okay. We got Abbott Elementary. We have and let me tell you, I used to be like, I can't watch not another show because how am I supposed to put all this stuff on the DVR, baby? These streaming platforms that allow you to be able to see. Listen, okay, I can watch it all. Now let me tell y'all, I got some regulars, Grey's is back, Station 19 is back. Those are my staples. They're not going anywhere. I do have to pause really quickly because I do have to say that, I don't listen to spoilers. I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, what's coming up this season? Who's going to be all of that stuff? When I tell y'all, for those of you all who watch Chicago PD, you should be caught up by now because we about 5 episodes in or 4 episodes in. When I tell y'all how upset I was about Jay leaving, like I almost shedded a tear. Like I literally was like, "No, Jay, no!" Like I'm like, "He a OG. He is the original." That really upset me. Like, and then when I went back, I was actually telling my son about it, and I was like, "He left," and he was like, "Well, how long has the show been on?" I was like, "I guess it is season 10." He's like, "Mommy, he's been on that show for 10 years." I was like, "I know, but Meredith's still on Grace. Like, how come?" But I also know the show is about Meredith Grey. But it still was like, I'm so mad about that. Like, see, that's what happens. You get into these shows and you get connected with him, and you just be disappointed when they leave. Anyway, new show. It's on Hulu. It is called Reasonable Doubt. It got, our boy Michael Ealy in it. I cannot remember the lead character's like her name, her real name, but her name is Jack Stewart. And she's a lawyer, and she like I love it. I love the show. I love how it's going. It's pretty much a majority Black cast. It's a crime show and a law show. Like I told my husband the other day, I said, I really do like crime and law. I don't know what it is about it, but I just can't get away from it. Like no matter what the show's up, if it's crime, medical, law, uh, some reality, okay, some reality. But yeah, all of those things, like I just love it. And then y'all, reality is my guilty pleasure. Y'all know reality TV. I love it. Hip hop is back. Okay, the Housewives of Potomac, Salt Lake City, like, and every show is giving me something that every week I'm like, what? I'm excited about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the reunion. Like when I tell y'all I'm in this space of like, if I watch another TV channel, I told y'all before I love TV. This is this is like my Super Bowl right here, right in this space. But yeah. So anyway, that is that part. On the home front, my son is going to his first homecoming. Now, y'all, this high school transition has been a lot, not only for me, and for him as well. But I did not think that it was going to be as emotional and as um transitional for me. I don't know why I didn't think I was going. I didn't think I was going to feel the way I feel like almost every day. Every day I feel a thing of like like what is happening. He's growing up, he's doing these, and it's just so many things that are happening that I'm super proud of him. I'm proud of what he's accomplishing. I'm proud of what he is doing. I'm glad that he's like enjoying his high school experience. That was one of my worries because he's just so particular about a whole lot of stuff that I just really wanted him to be able to just go with the flow. And he has been. And so I'm super proud of him. And if you're following me on Instagram, I'm sure you'll see in my story some pictures from homecoming. I'm just so proud. Both of my boys, they're doing an amazing job. I tell them almost once a week. I just want y'all to know how proud I am of y'all. Like I can see your maturity. I can see you growing up. And as we are ending this year, and a lot of times we reflect on businesses and how we're doing at work. Some people are getting their reviews and all this other stuff. But I really took the time to like think about my kids and like where my family has how far my family has come along, how mature they have gotten. Like the fact that I don't have to remind them that much about homework, it's a plus for me. Okay. They be like, oh, I got X, Y, and Z to do. And so yeah, like I'm just so proud of them. All right. So let's get into this episode. Today we're talking about saving money. And I want y'all to know that if you've been listening to me long enough, you know I do not come from a judgmental place. That is definitely me talking to me, and you are sitting in on these conversations. But I really am. I want you to hear the things that I'm saying today because I want to be able. I want us, like I said, I want us to be able to do the doing. And sometimes it's hard to do the things when your mind is so boggled down with stuff. We talk about self-doubt, and we talk about how um it affects everything, right? And when we talk about it affecting our finances, we also don't talk about how the effects of that thing of the effects of self-doubt, how it affects us in regards to our finances. We talk about like, you know, in how it's outwardly, right? Like how are you spending your money? How are you saving your money? Are you just, splurging? Are you out here being like, I don't care. Are you just, getting into debt, all of the other stuff? We don't necessarily talking about the emotional part of it, right? And how it when you don't have and you are in this space where you feel like you're not earning enough, or you feel like you're spending to your beating yourself up because of your spending, or you don't have savings, or you want to be able to invest in certain things, or we don't recognize or talk enough about how it makes us feel, right? How it can bring on anxiety, how it can bring on stress, how it can bring on even depression, right? Because you feel like you're kind of stuck in this space, right? And, you know, oftentimes you hear people talk about like when it comes to money, like not letting it rule you, right? Or not letting it control you, like it's a resource, not your source. And at the same time, when your money is funny, you don't feel good. I don't care what it is. It could be something you've done everything right, and then all of a sudden you miss one bill and something gets thrown off. Or maybe, you know what I'm saying, you are budgeting yourself right, but your supervisor messed up on your check and now you short $400, right? Or a bill that you thought you didn't have to pay until next week, you realize, oh shoot, I got to do this. Or, you know, child, don't even get me started on these cars, okay? Or your car go out and you need to spend $900 to get it repaired, and something is happening, tires flat, all these things that you think that you have time to be able to do, these unexpected life things that happen sometimes. When we have those things happen, or just regular, like, it just makes you feel um overwhelmed, right? And it puts you in a mental space that can be detrimental. And I think the thing about it is that we find ourselves in those places because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it to other people because we ain't trying to, like, we not trying to tell people our money woes, right? We want to maintain, like I said before, maintain the appearance that we have everything together, or that we're not complaining, or that you know whatever it is that you're trying to maintain. Like, that is, it's a personal thing because that is different for everybody else, right? I know, specifically for me, this transition that I've been going through over the last 3 years, from having stable income to unstable income, I guess that's what stable income to none, on my part alone, has had my emotions go up and down the entire time, right? Because when you are used to providing for your family and you're used to being in a place where you are helping out and you're doing stuff, it, regardless of the reason why you stopped, right? Like, I know that I stopped for a reason, because God told me to, because I'm doing, I'm pursuing my dreams. I'm pursuing my passion. I'm pursuing my purpose. I'm walking in what it is that I am called to do. And at the same time, reality is that, we took a hit, and I know that that's what happened. Like I said, God has provided throughout this entire time, and I am grateful. It doesn't take away from the feelings that I have being a human being. And so I want you to know that when we're having this conversation, I want you to be honest with yourself about how you feel about being in this space, how you feel about, whatever is transpiring, because that will cause the action to be different, right? Last week when I talked about the budget or whatever have you, I did the episode before I actually, when we're talking about spending money, I did the episode before I actually did the budget, right? And how I felt after I did that budget was like, what have I been doing? Right. For a small period of time, I kind of beat myself up because I was like, how did I get here? How did we get into this place? Oh, you should have never done this. Oh, you should have never done that. And again, so y'all, often feelings are temporary. Once I was able to say, okay, yes, you feel that way, but look at what it is. Look at what's facts. Look at what's happening. Even if there is something that needs to be changed, what is it that you can do that can change those things, right? And then that's when the action starts to come in. So I felt like I needed to say that because I didn't want anybody who's listening to this to feel like, there's a lot of times with certain conversations, money specifically, that when someone is talking to you about something, it comes off as like, it can come off as like, I know better than you, or you shouldn't be in this situation. And I'm telling you, that ain't me. You should know me well enough by now to know that that is not me. I am not going. One, I'm telling you my stuff too. So I've been here. I am here with you in certain aspects. It may not all look the same, but we all go through this roller coaster and these ebbs and flows of ups and downs, these peaks and these valleys, these seasons of lean time and the seasons of abundance. And sometimes you don't realize until you're out of it, or you're on your way out of it. Or you look at someone else's season, you be like, dang, you know what, that looked like that looked like me about 7 years ago, but right now I'm right here, right? And this is the reason why when Tiffany and I are talking on these lives, that we're saying, like, you have to know, you need to get in your money's business. That's what you need to be in it, instead of like how I was doing previously was just like, take my hands off of it. I'm gonna let my husband handle it and let him just figure it out, and I can just stick my head in the sand. Absolutely not, because the reality is that his money story is different from my money story, and how things happen will affect both of us differently. And so I need to be clear about the things that I need to do for myself in order to for my own mental stability, my own mental space, and also for what it is that we want to do for our families, because we both have two different ideas. But if I'm not paying attention, how do I know? How do I know? You don't know if you're not paying attention, right? So I just wanted I wanted to make sure I said something about that, because I really want people to understand that there's nothing wrong with where you are in your money stories. Nothing wrong with it where you are right at this very moment. The question is, where do you want to be? And then the next question is, what do you need to do to get to where you want to be? How do you need to change all of your habits, no matter, how do you need to change your habits to get to where you're trying to get to? That's really what it is. But you need to know where you are right now. So, this series I found some scriptures. So there's a couple of scriptures specifically in Proverbs that talk about saving money that, encourage us to do so. Okay. So Proverbs 21:20 says, precious treasures and oil are in a wise man's dwelling, but a foolish man devours it. I take that as, if you keep it, and if you have it, if it's in your dwelling, it's in your house, you have it, you're holding on to it. But a foolish man devours it, you ate it up. Now you ain't got nothing, right? Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. So that, to me, I feel like has more to do with like quick schemes, like, versus like maybe investing or saving, as we're talking about today. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in the summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame. And so that means, we just talked about that, it's different seasons, right? Like, there's a season for you to be saving so that you know what you have. You think about, I've heard this analogy quite a few times. I don't know it exactly, but I'm gonna just say it anyway. Talk about ants, like they collect at a certain season of the year, so that, I think it's during the summer, so that they don't even come out in the winter. Like, they are where they in their house and they eating because they've been saving all summer. They've been working. They've been doing what they needed to do, so that when they get into a different season, and it's continuous. It is always happening. We hear this scripture all the time. Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Listen, we all want to have generational wealth. If it starts with us, in order for our wealth to be generational and for our children's children to be, we have to start now. We have to start. What's that Temptation song? You know, People joke often, unfortunately, about the fact that, people generally live, and specifically in the Black community, that we're leaving people with bills. We're leaving them with, stuff that they have to figure out on their own. We talked about this a little bit on the during the live last week, about the responsibility that we have. If you have children, if you have a family, it is your responsibility to make sure that you take care of you. That is the least that you can do. It is not your children's, grandchildren's, great grandchildren's responsibility to take care of you. You have to plan that thing out. This is the reason why you have to have these conversations now, because when it's all said and done, you don't even have to worry about it. But who are you putting in a bind because you did not set yourself up? Who are you putting in a bind because you decided YOLO? Like, I really want you to think about that. It is your responsibility to take care of yourself in your lifetime. Okay? I'm talking about, even with saving, I'm talking about insurance, life insurance, those type of things that we have a tendency to think, oh, I don't need that right now. I don't want to worry about that right now. Everybody has expiration date. We have no idea when God is going to call us home. And it is not fair to the people who are working on a regular, everyday basis, who are taking care of their own children or their own families or whatever their situation is, to now have to stop what they're doing to figure out how they're going to take care of you in your death. That is selfish. Point blank in the period. I don't know who needed to hear that, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you. Last scripture is 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide for his relatives and especially for members of his own household, has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. So I'll read that again. If anyone does not provide for his relatives and especially for members of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. And I take that to be like, your responsibility is the people that live in your house. If you are not taking care of your children, if you are not taking care of your bills and the things that you have to do, you're being irresponsible. Like, that is a part of what it is that we're supposed to be doing in order to continue to move forward, in order for you to build legacy, in order for you to build wealth, in order for you to just take care of yourself. It don't even have to be about it. Like, if you're not in a space where you feel like, I'm worried about wealth or anything like that, it's just about taking care of you, taking care of yourself. And some of that isn't just about what you can do right now. It's about later. Like, I'm 40, about to be 42 years old. And when I was like 20 something, well, child, 40 seemed far, right? At 42, 60 seemed close. Okay. Like, I know it's still 20 something years, but it seems closer as I get older, because when you think about it, it's like, okay, that's a different season of my life. What do I really want to be doing? I'm having conversations. I've had a conversation with a friend of mine recently, and we were talking about work. And I was saying, when I was working at my previous job, I used to be like, okay, I started this at 27, right? I don't want to be here at 50. This is not where I want to retire. So if I know that, then what do I need to do? What are the decisions that I need to make? What do I need to switch up? What is happening, right? But what happens is we get stuck in these places where we just say, this is all we have to do. This is it, right? I can't go nowhere else. You're too afraid to move, or whatever the case may be. And I really like having this conversation is to put you in a space where you just start thinking about your future. What is it that you want? Right. And this is also the reason why it's important for us to save money, because your future, you need money for the future. It's not just about today. Now, granted, over these last couple of years, the ability to be able to save money has dwindled, okay? Because the cost of living has gone up. We already talk about chicken and eggs, okay? We know these gas prices have gone up. Like, it is harder for us to take care of ourselves, especially those of us who are in that. Me and my husband talk about this all the time. Like, the middle class, most of us who are considered middle class, we are keeping everything afloat. We are the biggest consumers, right? And a lot of times we're faced with situations where we have to figure out, what do I do right now, right? I can't even think about the future because right now is so hectic for me, right? As I was kind of preparing for this episode, and I was just wondering, like, okay, like, I wonder how many people actually live paycheck. They say in paycheck to paycheck. So they say in 2022, this is September of 2022. Okay, so like last month, 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. That's a lot of people. Like, 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. Some people because they have to, and some people because they choose to. Which one are we? And when I say because you have to, some of it is the career that you're in. Some of it is or the job that you have on top of the expenses that you have, right? Depending on what's going on in your life, you have to, because you got to do what you got to do for the season that you're in right now. Some is the choices that we choose not to think about the things that we need to do. We don't prioritize saving money. I looked that up too. Like, why is it so hard to save money? And, they were saying, like, most people don't prioritize it. And I can say that, it definitely was not a priority of mine for a very, very long time. I don't think that I even thought about saving money for real, until I knew I was going to leave my job. Like that was probably the very first time that I ever said to myself, like, I'm gonna set some money aside, like large amounts of money. Like now, some of that had to do with the fact that I couldn't. I couldn't because of my life, like what was happening. I had so much debt that I couldn't save nothing. There was no way for me to do it. Even every time I tried, I'd be like, nope, but I got this bill to pay. Nope, but I got this outstanding. Nope, but I got to do this. And so sometimes it's your circumstances and sometimes you're not able to do it. And I totally get that. But if you are in a place where you can and you're choosing not to, and then you get to a place where you say, I'm, 60, 70 years old and you figuring out why you have to work. I I always say I don't ever have to work. I don't want to have to work in my older age unless I have to. Like I want no, I don't want to have to work unless I want to. Like I just want to be busy. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people out here they just want to be busy. And but there's some people out here that they have to because they did not set themselves up for their future self. I ain't like today we're talking about your future self, being able to say some of it is a mixture. So we're talking about your future self. So if you in the, in an age range where you have like 20 plus years that you can save and you can figure out how to do that, that this is what we're talking about right now, because these are the things that when you're 65, 70, 80 years old, you don't want to have to worry about this, right? The other thing is that emergencies happen. Okay, like I said earlier, your car, a kid gets sick, you were sick and you have to be off of work for a period of time. So many things can happen that you just don't expect to happen. That if you don't have anything, any kind of cushion to carry you, what are we doing? We are looking for other people to save us. And I've been there plenty of times. Well, I told y'all a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, ain't nobody gonna help me out. Like y'all just gonna leave me out here. You know what I'm saying? And it's you have to make a choice as to whether or not it is truly what it is. Like you want to continue that life and you want to continue being in that space. I know the very first thing I did, I remember when I got into healthcare and once I was like, okay, I'm really gonna start making a better effort, is I, you know, contributed to the full it was a 403B. That's what it was. A 403B plan, right? And they had this other thing where you could like send like there. So if you are working in a corporate job, they're so there your I would reach out to your human resources department to find out what are some ways that you can save for retirement. There are some places have saving plans, like cash saving plans. I had like a cash saving plan. Like I was like, okay, you had the 403B, that joint, you can't cash out until you owed. And then I had like I don't know, it was like you had to be there like 5 years and then they would invest a certain amount, but you were putting that money aside, right? Now I was doing all the stuff before I had children. I didn't have any responsibilities. It was just me. And I remember an older person at my job just sat down next to me and was like, are you saving any of this money? Are you doing? And I was just like, what? No, I'm going to the club. What you mean? Like I'm making sure I got enough gas, and they just sat there and she just talked to me about it and was like, you really want to, now that you're working and you're in a career, like you want to make sure that you have some money for your future self. And I was just like, you know what, you right. And you know, it's a little thing. It's you could start with 1%. It don't gotta be with it. Of course, some people are able to do 6% and all the other stuff, but it starts with 1%. You start with something, and you just continue to go and allow it to just grow, and you just leave it there. You don't go touch it. You don't go do anything about it, but you just let it, and then you can transfer. You go to another job, you pick it up, you just keep it going, and that money will be there for you when you need it in your future self. For your future self. At the same time, you need something for emergencies. I told y'all that I used to listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, and he would talk about emergency funds, like try to save $500 immediately. If not $500, 500 or $1,000. Those were the two that he said. As soon as possible, set that money aside. That's your emergency fund. And as soon as if something happens, say repairs for your car, you're not dipping into your paycheck money. You getting that out your emergency fund, and in that way, then you fill it back up as soon as possible, right? Like that's the goal. But that what it does is it allows you to be able to have some cushion, and that's what we want. You know, and when we're talking about this, again, we're talking about you know your building wealth, but also to be able to for you to be comfortable right now. Like Tiffany said like last week, what can you do right now? What is it that's going to be able, how can you live right now and do the things that we're talking about, saving money, spending money? It's not for you to be like, oh, I can't do nothing, whatever have you, or I just got to save all of this, that. It's not for you to be like uptight about it, but it's for you to be able to like spread it out and figure it out one thing at a time. One thing at a time. And so earlier I talked a little bit about how, saving money affects your self-doubt affects saving money and self-doubt, how they kind of coincide, and your confidence and just making you feel better about yourself when you have your stuff together. And so that is the reminder. The thing is that when you have your stuff together, you feel better about yourself. You feel better about your life. You feel better about what's going on. And we would be surprised how many people are stressed out and it's all financial. Like that is what they are. The stress is. It's about money. If there's enough money's coming in, they got bills to pay. They haven't spent enough. Something unexpected happened. All of those different things. That is generally a lot of people's stress. So I just want to give you a couple of quick things that you can think about. Create a plan for your money. We've already been talking about that, like getting your money's business. Okay. You need to figure out what's happening, what's not happening, and what needs to be changed. Create a simple budget. You can Google it. I said on the lab last week that I use mint.com. That's what I use to be able to, it's a free tool to be able to just quickly put your information in. It'll tell you what you're spending. Like it's easy peasy. I'm telling you, that thing get all up in your business. Pay off debt a little bit at a time. Just start. That's all you really need to do. Have an emergency fund. Just start. Remember, I said the lowest is 500, and then start saving. Even if you're saving like $25 a week or $25 a paycheck, put it somewhere so that you just have that money. Savings and emergency funds are two different things. The savings that you do not touch it maybe give your savings a goal. Like maybe you want to save for a car or a trip or I don't know, a birthday party or something like that. Like figure out what it is, where you want it to go, what you want to spend it on. And then that will encourage you to be able to continue to just kind of think about it and say, you know what, this is what I'm saving for. This is the purpose for it. This is the purpose for this money. So I feel a little bit better about it. I hope that wasn't too much for y'all. I hope it wasn't overwhelming. I hope that y'all know that I am sharing from my heart and that you feel me as I am talking about this. Listen, like I said, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have. And especially like even for for me and my space is like, I don't feel like I have all the answers, Sway. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes me feel a little like, I'm still figuring this out. And I think that's the beauty about this, especially the journey that we're continuously on. The beauty is that we all are figuring it out. Like that's where we at. So as always, thank y'all for rocking with me. Again, if you are enjoying this podcast and you find it valuable, please consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me create new content, reach more people, and get more stuff so y'all can continue to see me on the visual. Remember, the video will post sometime this week, child. It ain't gonna be Sunday, but it'll be in there. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to join me and Tiffany from the Lotus Legacy on Thursday, October 20th on my Instagram page. Make sure that your notifications are turned on so you know that we are going live. Y'all, always Jesus and therapy. Take charge of your mental health and get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slang. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/slang, SLAYING. If you're interested in working with me, go ahead and book a connection call and we can get this party started. Make sure that you're subscribing to the newsletter. Y'all, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to say this at the very beginning. We are at 49,000 downloads. Okay. I need 1 1,000 more. 1,000 more to be at 50,000 downloads. Y'all, I told y'all, we going to hit this by the end of the year. So share this episode with at least 10 people, okay? 10 people, 5 and 5, okay? 10 people. Share it with at least 10 people so that we can hit 50,000 downloads. Follow me on Instagram, @self-doubt. Until next week, see ya.